You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, presented by the Only One Media Group. This is the people's choice for quality interviews, celebrities, and special guests. Hosted by Demetrius Dinny Reynolds. Call in to join the mix at 701-801-9813. For the complete archive of episodes, visit onlyonemediagroup.com and be sure to like us on Facebook at Vigilantes Radio. We welcome all. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Demetrius Houdini Black Reynolds. Enjoy the show.
All right. Welcome to the show, guys. You're listening to VRL. That's Vigilantes Radio Live right here on iHeartRadio. And I am your host, Deanie. We have another special guest for you guys, so you definitely want to stick around for that. And as a matter of fact, text your buddies, text your family members right now and let them know that we are about to dive deep into another interview. Before I bring my guest on, I do want to say that it is yours. Go ahead and think of the most wonderful thing you can visualize, the most fulfilling achievement you can imagine. Whatever it is, you can begin to truly enjoy and benefit from it this very moment or anytime you are ready to do so, because no matter what it is, its real value will come from the effort and commitment you put into achieving it. No matter how ambitious it may be or how distant its accomplishment may seem, you can begin to put effort into it right now. So what is it you truly desire? The instant you begin working your way there, the best of your desire, the true value of it, the authentic experience of it begins to be yours. The real value of any achievement is not in the attainment, but in the attaining. Because whatever you do to arrive at that achievement is what creates the value it holds for you. And whatever you sincerely desire begins to be yours the moment you begin to reach for it. The value starts to build and accumulate as soon as you make the commitment and begin the process to get it done. Take that from me, Coach Deanie. That is my word. Are you ready?
You're live in the mix. Let's get this started.
All right. Again, welcome to the show. You're listening to VRL. That's Vigilantes Radio Live right here on iHeartRadio. And I am your host, Deanie. Our interviews are designed to go beyond the music, news, books, art, acting, films, technology, education, entrepreneurship, entertainment, and sometimes even past that thing that we call the ego. Our interviews are designed to go behind the scenes and into the minds of these awesome human beings. You know, the ones who are out there giving it their all for me, for you, and for the world. Well, welcome to Vigilantes Radio, where we bring you the most fascinating guests and insightful conversations. Today we have the honor of hosting Judith A. Perkins, an accomplished author known for her compelling storytelling. Judith's latest novel, Journey to the Pacific, One Man's Quest, takes us on an inspiring journey of resilience and determination during the Civil War era. So get ready for an explosive and heartfelt conversation with the incredible Judith A. Perkins. Hello. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
I am just great. Thank you. Excited to talk to you today.
Absolutely, Judith. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. So for our listeners who may not be familiar with your work, could you start by introducing yourself and telling us what you're currently focused on in your writing career?
Yes, my name is Judith Perkins. I live in Tacoma, Washington. I didn't start writing until I was 80 years old. I am now almost 83. Right now, I'm writing my 6th novel and working on one to do with my family, my stepfather and his family. So It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
6 novels, and you've only been writing for 3 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
Wow, you're moving pretty fast.
Well, it seems like it. I get ideas and I just write them down. Only 2 of them have been published so far. So these are just sitting here waiting, and they need a little bit of work, but the ideas and the substance is there.
Absolutely. So you traveled a lot as well, and reflecting on your journey so far, not just, physically traveling, but in your life, your personal life, professional life, and especially the experiences, the knowledge that you've gained throughout the years that shaped your writing. What was the biggest moment of self-awareness that you've experienced, and how did it shape your path going forward?
When I turned 80 years old, I realized that I was the last in my line, and I was 20 years old when one of my great-grandmothers passed. And so I knew her very well. And she used to tell me some fascinating stories. And I thought, if I didn't write those stories down, my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren would never know their history. So that's when I started writing. That was probably the pivotal moment of this new career that I've got, to realize that there was nobody else that could tell those stories. So I did. At first I thought I was just going to spiral bind it and give it to my kids for their own information. And my boys and my husband convinced me that I should have it published. And so I did. And from there, after that was published, then I wrote the novel, loosely based on the experiences of my ancestors.
Wow. So this book, Journey to the Pacific, One Man's Quest, is based on your family.
Yes, loosely. I, of course, took a lot of license in it, but my family, my ancestors lived in a very small town in eastern Washington. My great-grandfather owned a hotel there. He raised his family in the hotel. They all had different experiences and lived different lives, but they all loved each other. They all respected each other. And we just grew from there.
Absolutely. I know that your great-grandmother or grandmother told you the story. Did you have to do much research?
Not a lot. I did a lot of looking up of the timeline and what was going on during the times that George Sievers, the protagonist in the book, lived. I wanted to be sure and get the times and the events of those times correct, so it didn't really look silly. We didn't have Amtrak in the 1800s for him to jump the train, and so I had to be careful there. But as far as actual research, I didn't have to do a lot in this particular book.
The protagonist in your book faces significant hardships. How did you develop his character, and were any aspects of his journey inspired by real-life events?
Not that I know of. I don't know how I did it. To be totally honest with you, it just came to me. The events that happened, the things that he went through, I did want him to be determined and intelligent, in which he was very intelligent. for a young boy that never went to school. He had the determination to see his goal through. When he was young, he read a story about Lewis and Clark on the Pacific Ocean, boiling down the seawater to make the salt to preserve their meat in the winter that they stayed in Oregon. And that is what prompted him to want to see the Pacific Ocean and have this goal, this quest that he had. And he just I kind of worked it from there. Things that might have happened. A lot of the research was from books that I had read. I've read books and novels and all kinds of things since I was very young. And so a lot of things I picked up from there, ideas that I enhanced. But other than that, it all pretty much came from my head.
Wow. That's incredible. And can you share more about your writing process? Like, do you follow a specific routine, or how does it go?
Not really. I get up in the middle of the night a lot. I don't sleep during the night very well. And so I get up and I come into my den and I sit here at the typewriter, or at the computer actually, and write. I will do, a few paragraphs, and then I'll get tired, or I'll do a couple chapters. It just depends on how it comes. Sometimes an idea will wake me up, and I will have to come in and write it down and enhance it and kind of go from there. That's the way I do it. There are times during the day when all of a sudden I will get up or leave what I am doing and come in here because I have an idea. I have a thought that needs to be put down before I forget it.
Absolutely. How do you stay motivated?
I don't know, except that my husband is very encouraging of the whole process, and my grandchildren think it's just the greatest thing in the world that Grandma is doing this. I have 3 very young great-granddaughters. I want them to know what their history is. I come from a very strong matriarchal family. When I was born, there were 5 generations. I had a great-grandmother, 2 great-grandmothers, 2 grandmothers, a grandfather, a mother, father, and a brother. And they all lived long lives. And so I knew, except for my great-great-grandmother, I knew them all very well. So it was easy to put forth the effort and the idea of wanting my kids and my grandkids to know their heritage, to know exactly where they came from and how their ancestors lived.
You visited all 48 lower states in the U.S. Are there any particular locations that left a lasting impression and perhaps influenced scenes or settings in the book?
Mostly the state of Washington, where we live now. I wouldn't want to live any other place than here. To me, this is an ideal place to be. Oregon, I was born and raised in Portland. Cannon Beach on the Oregon coast is what I call my happy place. Has been since I was very small. The Oregon coast is one of the prettiest places in the United States, I think. I love Arizona. We wintered for many, many years in Yuma, Arizona. Unfortunately, we don't anymore because we're of an age where it's just too difficult for us to travel down there. So we don't go down there anymore, but I love that area down there. Every one of the places that we visited, every one of the states had its own unique feel for it. it gave us a feeling of contentment to be able to go into those states and see what was there. Mostly we were drawn by national parks. We love to visit national parks and have visited an awful lot of them. And that's kind of what draws us to an area.
Absolutely. The beautiful state of Washington.
Yes.
All right. So you have 4 more books in the chamber that haven't been published yet. But besides that, looking ahead, what are your goals for continuing with the journey to the Pacific?
Well, I have had some inquiries about possibly making it into a movie. I don't know what will happen with that. I'm open to it if that's something that is feasible and can be done. I would like to see the sequel. I have written a sequel to that called The Emancipation of William Jones Jr., and I would like to see them, if they do make it into a movie, to have both of them, because they are pretty well connected. So, but that's the only ambition. It's hard for me because of my age. The long-term plans for things don't come as easily. I have to think of what's happening now and what's going to happen, say, in the next 5 years. I can't think of 20 or 30 years. So it's a possibility that this can be done. I don't know.
Absolutely. How much involvement would you need? Would you prefer, or, what's the word? Well, I guess prefer is cool. How much control would you need if it became a movie?
Well, I don't know. I have no knowledge of how that process works. So it's hard for me to know. I would not want it changed a lot. The book, I realize that somebody else is going to have to write a screenplay, because I know nothing about that. And there will be changes. I would want to look at those changes and have some say in what was written, not so much the dialogue, because I realize that, I'm not an expert in writing dialogue, but I realize for a movie they don't have just the thoughts and everything. You have to speak. So I'm not as concerned of that. I'm concerned about the general maintenance of my initial idea of the vigilance, the determination, the faith that this young man had in his ability to reach his goal. And that's what I really want. If it is made into a movie, I want that portrayed.
Judith, where can our listeners pick up copies of the book?
It's on Amazon, and it's on Barnes & Noble, both in book form and in on Kindle and Nook, and it's at the Reader's Magnet bookstore. They're located. They're the publisher of the book, and they're located in San Diego. And you can find that online. There are limited copies of the book in several bookstores throughout the country. I know there's one bookstore in Brooklyn, New York, who has or had 5 copies initially. There's a bookstore in Florida, and one in Seattle, and a couple here locally in the Tacoma area. So hopefully they will get into bookstores, but right now the book is on Amazon.
All right. Listeners, just in case you need the link, I will have it in the description of this episode and in the show notes. So all you guys have to do is just click the links. Well, Judith, thank you so much for being our guest tonight. I enjoyed you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, and you have a very, very nice evening.
You too. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, my Vigilantes family, as always, for checking out my podcast over here at Vigilantes Radio Live. All episodes are available for free download, and you can grab it from either Spreaker.com/Only One Media Group, Spotify, Castbox, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, the app Podcast Addict, or over at our website, which again is onlyonemediagroup.com, and that goes for every single show that we've ever aired. If you like to request some music or send something for me to play, email it to vradio@onlyonemediagroup.com. That is V as in Victor. And here's my disclaimer: we are genre free, we do not judge, and we absolutely do not base our opinions on hearsay but facts alone. And actually, scratch all of that, because all of my opinions are always right. That's the bottom line. This is my show, so deal with it. Just kidding. On behalf of myself, Denny, I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, either afterwards or live with us. Spread the word, because sharing is caring. We stepped up our game just for you guys and our guests to make sure that you have the best experience here on our show. Be sure to connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Snapchat, TikTok, at all social media sites, as well as Spreaker, YouTube. We always follow back. Okay, well, just remember to put yourself into everything that you do and never stop investing in yourself. Peace, love, grilled cheese, and talk with you later.
You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, the people's choice for quality interviews, art, music, and hot topics. Hosted by Demetrius Houdini Black Reynolds of the duo No Longer the Hero. All episodes of this podcast are available for free download at www.onlyonemediagroup.com. This is a Seventh Sign Regime Rebirth Worldwide Syndicate exclusive.